Hi, my name's Fred. I drink beer. So today I have going to do some triples. And the first one is La Fin du Monde from Unibroue in Quebec. And has a best by date of January 2015, I think. To double check that. Yeah, 2015. And there's a bottling code that looks like it was in 2012, which a three-year best by date would make sense. So give this one a try. Again, the cork is not cooperating. If you've watched some of the videos in the past, I've had some issues with the Unibroue corks. Okay, and the cork not as dried as some of the Unibroue ones. Of course, this isn't as old as some of the other beers I've tried from them. So we'll see what I edit out of the cork pulling. So this is 9 years old. A little longer than probably like the age of triple. When I hold it up, from the camera, it looks a little dark. Holding it up to the light, it's a little dark for a triple, but not as dark as it looks like on the camera. Oh, it has a nice nose on it. I get the Belgian yeast, kind of the phenolics, maybe a little bit of banana and some sweetness, some candy sugar. This is one I've had. It's probably been a couple years since I've had a La Fin du Monde, but it's one I've had more recently than some of the others, and it still tastes like the La Fin du Monde, which is end of the world. This is when it's often have one of these on July 1st, which is Canada Day or Dominion Day. So it's one of the few Canadian beers we can get around here. Unibroue. It's one of the few Canadian breweries that's readily available that I want to drink. So I often will have one of these to celebrate Canada Day. It's oxidized. It's got decent carbonation. I let this one a little bit of planning. I took it out of the fridge a bit before to let it warm up, so it's still a tad cold. The glass is frosting over, but it's at a nice drinkable state, nice drinkable temperature. It's I like it. I like this is one where I like the fresh a lot better. I mean, this is drinkable and I'll finish it, but definitely it's not one that I would recommend aging. Now maybe once it gets a lot older, it would be better. This was I didn't plan to age this one. This was stuck back in the back, and I didn't even realize it was there till I was looking for something else. So reading the label, it says 9% alcohol, bottle re-fermented, ale brewed with spices. And then it says triple golden ale on lees, which is what they're saying. Basically, it's bottle conditioned. I like they have you can't really see it here, but on the back there's a little thing that says don't put this in a Pilsner flute, you should put it in a glass shaped like this, which I just happen to have. There is a Best By date on the back, on the label, a place for it, but there's nothing there. But there is a Best By stamped on the bottle. Not much else of interest. So I'm going to enjoy this for a bit, and then I'll come back and bore you with what I know about Unibroue. Okay, I'm back with my Unibroue La Fin de Monde triple. As more I get into it, the less I like it. The oxidation's coming through a little bit more as it warms up, and I'm not getting much of the triple sweetness that I normally like with this beer. It's still good, and I'll finish it, but I'm really wishing I'd found this bottle a few years ago. Anyway, Unibroue is an interesting company. They're in Chambly, Quebec, which is outside of Montreal. I'm not sure how far outside. My geography is rusty. They have some interesting in the early 2000. Well, basically 2000, I think, to 2010. Their head brewer was a man by the name of Paul Arnott, who was a graduate of I think it's called Harriet Watt University in Scotland, which is a school of malting, brewing, and since it's Scotland, distilling. But worked at Chimay for many, many years, was a brewer at Chimay. And so that's had a good background on these style of beers. And the story, as he told us at a beer dinner in the sort of maybe mid-2000s, was he ended up marrying a local Wallonian woman. And when it was time to move on from Chimay, they had, was looking for places, and she insisted that it was somewhere that spoke French. And obviously it was somewhere that needed a brewery, that had breweries, so they needed a brewer. And at that time, Unibroue was looking for a head brewer, so that was a good match. So he went to Quebec and really did. About that time, I think he started in 99 or 2000, and that's about when I first started noticing their beers. I first started noticing them when I used to go to Florida a lot on business. And then sometime in the 2000s, the distribution reached California. And they do a lot of beer styles. I guess for the local market, they do some bottom fermented beers. But the ones we see mostly are sort of Belgian in style, and Belgian inspired, and you can kind of tell that they're in Belgian style cork 750s. They do smaller bottlings as well as larger. At one point, I had a couple of 6-liter Maudit, which is their essentially their double. So they're good beer. There are a few that missed. They did a line of fruit beers called Ephemera, and the first one was a green apple, and that was just one I couldn't take. I suppose it was all right, but just green apple in beer reminds me of acetaldehyde, and it's like, But they did a cassis one that was very nice, and there were a few other ones in there that were nice. So now Paul, I call him Paul, Mr. Arnott, sir. I think in 2010, thereabouts, he went back to Belgium, and last I heard he was the head brewer at Dubuisson, which makes the Scaldus, it's called Scaldus in the U.S., and it's Bush in Belgium and other places. It's also a very good brewery, and I think they hired him. They wanted to sort of increase their range, more, I hate this word craft, but they have, since then they've started doing a lot more, kind of varied beers, a little more interesting than their Bush and the Bush Noel. I haven't spoken to him since that time I met him at a beer dinner, but when I heard he went to Dubuisson, I was like, okay, yeah, they've stepped up their beers. Now, Unibroue has gone through some changes in I want to say 2003 or 2004. They were bought by another Canadian company called Sleeman's. And then in 2006 or 7, Sleeman's was acquired by Sapporo, the Japanese brewer. And, there's always a worry when a smaller brewery gets absorbed by a larger one, and what are they going to change? Now, luckily they were buying Unibroue for Sleeman's, which and Unibroue was the major, I think the major brand is Sleeman's. In fact, they changed the name of the company and became Sleeman's Unibroue. For the beers. So there was, an incentive not to change them. Back in the sort of dark days in the States, Anheuser-Busch and other ones would buy breweries just to get the brewery. They didn't really care about the local brands. It was often cheaper to buy a brewery, to buy a brewing company for their brewing equipment if they wanted to expand into a market. So they'd buy a brewery, and then that brewery would start making, Budweiser or whatever the flagship brand was. And luckily that did not happen when Sapporo took over Unibroue. Their beers are still good, and I don't, didn't notice to my mind, any drop off in quality. So that's a happy ending. Not sure what else to tell you about Unibroue. I do want to. I've come across a number of breweries in Quebec. I mean, Unibroue is one. There's another one that I'm gonna butcher the French. It's the Three Musketeers. And I had one of my Canadian cousins had access to some of their beers and would come down and would bring bottles. In fact, we once did quite a nice Musketeers tasting on this very patio, about 6 different beers. It's the only time I've had a corked 750 Rauch beer and a corked 750 alt beer. They were both very good, as well as Belgian styles. The one I would see in Europe a lot would be their Baltic Porter. I think I've had that in Amsterdam and Berlin and a few other places. Anyway, rambling on as I do, I'm going to finish off the Unibroue de la Fin du Monde, and then I'll come back with my next beer, which is going to be interesting. So, see you in a minute. Okay, I'm back. I said earlier the theme of the day was Tripel, and so the next beer I have is a Westmalle Tripel. And I don't know if you can see this. The cap is kind of gotten a little bit rusty. I don't know how old this is. My guess is from the early 2000s. I couldn't find any Best By date on it. It's been refrigerated for a long time, at least the past 10, 12 years, maybe longer. It was imported by Weinbauer, Chicago, Illinois. And so I did a little bit of sleuthing on the internet using the Wayback Machine, and it looks like they stopped importing this in 2005. And I would have said this was probably 2003, 2004, so that kind of fits. Say could be older. I didn't go back to. It's hard to go back too far. The Wayback Machine, if they didn't have a website with their beers listed, there's kind of no additional information. So, but I know in 2003 they were registered to distribute this beer in California, because the state of California still has the 2003 records online, or at least the fact that they had a license. So anyway, I'm going to say this is 2003-ish, which is, again, way longer than I would normally want to try and age a beer like this. So, oh, it's got a hiss. And I have, of course, I have a Westmalle glass, and we'll see what happens. It's still got lots of carbonation. In fact, I'm doing a little bit of a rough pour. I figured it would be pretty flat. But I'm getting a nice head, and I have to remember this is bottle conditioned, so you can't see it in the light. I want to, you don't want to pour the whole bottle in. You guys know that. It's got a nice color. I mean, it's actually, to me, it looks lighter than the Unibroue, which was younger. Oh, it's got that Westmalle aroma. Well, the head's dissipating a little just pretty quickly. Oh, it's... Yeah, this is one that should have been... was in the fridge too long. It's drinkable, and I like it, and I can get the Westmalle kind of house character. But it's past its prime. Yeah, it's my mom always told me don't age your triples. Actually, she didn't. But well, yeah, we're gonna have to think about this one. We'll drink it. It's hitting the different aspects of. I was expecting too much of fresh Westmalle triple, and obviously it's not. But it's what I'm getting is interesting, and it's not bad. There's no off at this point. There's nothing that makes me want to dump it. I want to enjoy it. So I will let this one sit for a bit, and it's pretty much good serving temperature, so I don't need to let it warm up. But I will cogitate on it and sip it, and come back with be back in a bit with some rambling on Westmalle. So excuse me, Westmalle. So see you soon. So I'm back with my 2003, 2004-ish Westmalle triple. Still not getting this product placement right. I'm a bad pourer. You can tell it's got floaties in the bottom. If you check my Twitter feed or Instagram feed, you can see them. I'm glad I had it. It's one of those things, a fresh one I would really enjoy. It's not bad. It's the character has changed. It's still got that kind of Westmalle, which I assume is the yeast character. Very good Dutch friend of mine. Very much a beer and whiskey expert, and that's probably enough for those of you who know him to know who he means. I remember once he was doing sort of a tutored blind tasting of a directed blind tasting of Trappist beers. And he sort of said Westmalle triple is not a well-made beer, which is, some people get upset when I say that, but it's sort of, I think what he was sort of saying was that, there's a definite house character to it. I'm sure he was thinking that in Dutch, and probably didn't translate well. But anyway, it certainly is distinctive. As far as Westmalle anecdotes, I've been at the brewery, at the monastery, not to the monastery. It's not generally available, accessible to the public. I'm sure if you know the right person. I mean, I know people beer writers who've made tours. It's not far from Antwerp. It's a little bit to the east of Antwerp. And you can get a local bus. Well, it's a D-Line, which is the Flanders bus service, but it's basically, I think, at the Roosevelt Plots bus station. You can hop on a bus that goes to, I forget where, Turnout, and you can get off at Westmalle. There's a stop at Westmalle. There is a nice restaurant there, the Trappisten Cafe. It's like literally across the street. And the thing I remember most about that is the one of the best mac and cheese I've had, certainly in Europe. And the one Mom made was always great, but that was Mom. But this one, and they didn't call it mac and cheese, but it was pasta with Westmalle, I believe Westmalle cheese. I think Westmalle makes cheese as well. If not, it was Trappist cheese. And it was really good with a nice, really fresh Westmalle triple. So that was well worth the, we had an afternoon with nothing planned, so we went out, took the bus out. And we actually went up to the gate and we could see some monks, and we waved at them and they waved back, and we sort of made motions, can we come in? And they kind of went, no, you can't. So I guess that's maybe a good conversation for someone who's a Cistercian of the strict observance, which they don't actually take a vow of silence. They're just not supposed to talk unnecessarily. So at least, we saw and you could see the brewery, through some windows, at least the brewery that looked like a brewery. So that was a good day. But if you do have you're in Antwerp and you have time and nothing to do, check out taking the bus out to the Trappisten Cafe. Our actual original goal, in Turnout, there's a famous pub, and I don't know if they're still in business, even up to the pandemic, but Stoudts was recommended by lots of people, and that was actually our goal. But we were having so much fun at the Trappisten Cafe, and we had lunch, and then we had a Westmalle, and then we had another Westmalle, and then maybe had another Westmalle, and then it was like, okay, we'd better head back to town. So, back to the beer. I don't know what to say. It's a little like I've said before. It's a little oxidized. It's lost a lot of the Westmalle character. There's enough there that I could tell. I think I could tell even if I didn't know. The sweetness has kind of gone away, and kind of what I would say the tripeliness. I don't know if that's a word. But I'll finish this, and we'll see. I've got one more beer on reserve that is going to be a total experiment. I have no idea what it's like, but it is a triple. So, and I'm sure it won't be as good as even a 18-year-old Westmalle. So, anyway, thanks for watching. And in case this is the end of the video, which I don't know, doing this all on the fly, be sure and subscribe. I was told that the one thing that I'm missing is, like the video if you like it, hit the like button and hit the subscribe button. If I get about 900 more subscribers, then I can sell ads and make money on this. Not that that's the reason I'm doing it, but it's like, okay, 900 is a goal. Actually, it's more like 980 subscribers. So subscribe, tell your friends, tell your relatives. They don't have to watch it, they just have to subscribe to it. How's that for shameless commerce? Anyway, and we'll be back in a bit, hopefully, with one last beer, and I hope you're enjoying the video. Okay, I'm back, and today you get some extra special content because I finished early and it's still light out, and I have another beer. So what I have today is a Stoudts Tripel from Stoudts Brewing in Adamstown. I think it's Adamstown, Pennsylvania. Bottle conditioned Belgian Abbey style microbrewed beer, and there is a bottling date of September 2005. Now I would have guessed that this wasn't that old. I don't remember buying. I mean, I remember buying a 6-pack, and I don't remember if it was all the triple and one of the other beers. I suppose if it comes up, but when I was looking for some other beers, I saw the triple, and I said, "Hey, I've got the Westmalle, the Fin de Monde. Let's try a Stoudts Triple." So let's see how this cap's not wanting to come off. There was a little bit of a hiss. I got a feeling it's probably going to be pretty flat, but we'll find out. Oh, that is, yeah, that doesn't look like a triple anymore. Well, it doesn't. It smells like sherry, which I guess, my guess is that the cap wasn't, since this is younger than probably younger than the Westmalle, so there was very little, a little bit of carbonation, but not much. I didn't do the super deep pour, which it's like after a 750 and a 33 of triple, I'm not going to do any fancy pouring. Anyway, it's not bad. It's not very triple-y. Mostly just getting sherry, which I would expect from the color. Say there's no real off. There's and this probably again this one was in the fridge. It was a last minute edition, so I stuck it in the fridge when I started the others. So it's maybe a little bit too cold. I get a little bit of sort of meaty aroma, which is usually idolization of the yeast, which means the yeast ran out of stuff to eat, so they started being cannibals. But it's not bad. I mean, it's not, at least at this point, it's not overpowering, and I didn't get it on the first sip. So I will we'll let this one warm up a bit, and I'll come back and have a few stories about Stoudts Brewing, and I actually have a story about a triple, not a triple, but a pale beer that ends up in a color like this. So we'll see in a minute. Okay, I'm back with my Stoudts Triple from 2005, and as I said before, it's undergone a browning reaction and is quite dark for a triple. But rambling on, another funny story about light pale beers that turn dark. My first visit to the Culminator, which is one of my favorite places, and if you know me and watch some of these videos, you've heard reference to it. It's a pub in Antwerp that is known for having aged beers. They have, who knows, 80,000 to 80,000 bottles in their beer cellar. So we're a bunch of us. This was in '98. It was the first Sticka trip, if you know that. We had been to Dusseldorf the first time I had the Sticka beer. and we're in the Wildeman, and one of the barmen at the time, Robin Brilleman, we were saying, we were raving, the Wildeman is like the best beer bar in the world. He said, no, Culminator in Antwerp's better. So, when have you ever heard a bartender say, this other guy is better than me? So we had a day free, and we looked up, it's a 2-hour train ride from Amsterdam. So we took the train, found the place, had a great day. And one of the things I did, and I'm embarrassed to say this because I tell everybody don't do this when you go to the Culminator. We asked for the oldest Trappist beer they had because we were young and American and idiots. And Lean was very nice, and she brought out a bottle of it was La Trappe. And we'd had some other beers, and the beer she poured when we had it was this color, thereabouts. And so we get it back on the train to Amsterdam, and we go to the Wildeman, and Robin was there, and he said, how was the Culminator? And so it was great and wonderful, and we're praising it. And I said, what did you have? We said, we had a 1979 La Trappe double. And without missing a beat, the same way if you were in a bar and you said, I was there the day that Mickey Mantle hit his 65th home run, people would say, La Trappe didn't make a double in 79. I said, I don't think they lied to us, that's what we ordered, and that's what we had. And I said, wait a minute, I have the bottle, but it's back in my room. I'll bring it in tomorrow. So we came in. So we're enjoying some beers, and Robin came back, and he said, I called the brewery, and they said, yeah, they didn't brew. They confirmed that they didn't brew a double in 79. And so we finished up. We came in the next day. I had brought the bottle. I'd saved it because it was kind of an unusual thing, and I showed it to him, and he said, this isn't a double. I hadn't read the label. It's a La Trappe d'Or, which is a golden. So, of course, that's what they brewed in 79. And, but it had been such, so it was a golden beer, but it was so old, and it had changed color, and it was now dark. So we were enjoying whatever we ordered at the Wildeman, and then Robin came back a little bit later and said, I called the brewery, and they said that they told them it wasn't a double, it was a d'Or. And they said, we don't even have any of those anymore. Where can I get one? So I told them, so Robin told him you had to go to the Culminator. And I think they are out of that. They've long since been out of it. But that was my first aged Trappist beer. Anyway, that's probably enough stories for today. I'm going to finish this beer, and then it's getting on to, as you can tell, it's getting dark. It's probably time to go. I'm the cook, so I have to go fix dinner. And I just realized I'm totally off-center on this video. So, who knows? Hopefully people will be drinking beer while they watch me drink beer, and so they won't notice that it's like I've shifted to the side. But I'm not going to reshoot it. I'm not Hollywood. Anyway, thank you all for watching. Again, if you enjoyed it, like the video, hit the thumbs up, hit the subscribe button. I've got 19 subscribers. If I can next week get up to 25, I'll consider that a moral victory. And we'll have some good beers for you next week. So good beers to you. Have a good weekend, and we'll see you next time.